We are back with another interview with people that have an impact on Dunwoody. I am Mark Galvin, the Director of Marketing with Discover Dunwoody, and we're always looking to bring interesting people to you so that we can show who's really impacting our space and who's maybe even impacting the state of Georgia. If you know of someone that we should talk to, send them our way. Just go to our website and you can submit a question there or a suggestion there, or send us an email. We are at info at discoverdunwoody.com. It's a great place to track us down. Today, I am thrilled to welcome Kelsey Moore to our office. She is the Executive Director of the Georgia Screen Entertainment Coalition. Kelsey, welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So glad you made your way here. Officially, your office is in downtown Atlanta.
Yep, it was just a quick drive up.
I love to hear that. And you didn't have any problems with that traffic coming through 285 and 400s,
nope,
right?
It was a smooth shot.
So there you had it. You heard it first. No traffic heading through that part of our neighborhood. So you're affiliated with the Georgia Chamber. You've been working with them since 2012. So you've spent a lot of time with the Chamber.
I have. I've spent a good amount of time with the Georgia Chamber under the leadership of Chris Clark.
And he is unbelievable.
Yes, definitely. No better leader for our state.
He is terrific. I've seen him speak a couple times, and he is so engaging and shares great information. So I bet you do enjoy working with him.
I do. He's very dialed into what our state needs to do to continue to remain competitive. So.
I love that. So you went to NC State,
yeah.
Got a degree in communications and media studies. And I bring that up because our show producer is Madison Holtz. She got a degree in communications, so she's leaning in today. So we'll ask you some more questions because I think that, we may need you probably have a shadow in the future.
And I must say, in Georgia, my Wolfpack red is also UGA red. So go Dogs.
Is that the same red?
It's the same red, and absolutely, it's the same red.
For the record, there it is. Well, we all love NC State because, that's the ACC, and, SEC folks are okay with the ACC outside of Georgia Tech. We're all good with that. So let's talk about the difference between the Georgia Chamber and what and I know you're an affiliate of them, so you're really your own entity. So what does the Georgia Screen Entertainment Coalition, and you've said I can say GSEC.
Yep,
so
GSEC.
I'll say GSEC from now on. What's the difference between the work that you do and, say, the folks on the Georgia economic development side? What's the difference between your two orgs?
Sure. So the Georgia Chamber is an advocacy organization for business in Georgia. And so that is their role. As an affiliate of the Georgia Chamber, GSEC, we are an advocate for the businesses in the film, television, and digital entertainment industry. So we serve as the unified voice of that ecosystem of businesses. GDEC and the Georgia Film Office are responsible for marketing the state. And so, Lee Thomas's team does a fantastic job.
So what does Lee do?
So she's the film commissioner in the Georgia Film Office, the deputy commissioner of film. And so she makes sure that productions are able to come to Georgia. She helps, market Georgia.
Okay.
And so our role, once, we have this thriving production industry, which we do, our role is really to focus on promoting, protecting, and advancing that industry here for our Georgia businesses, our crew, and certainly all the Georgians involved in the industry.
And so a Chamber of Commerce, and you're with the Georgia Chamber of Commerce versus we have a Chamber of Commerce here in Dunwoody, the Perimeter Chamber. Is it a membership organization? Do businesses join the chamber? How does that work?
Sure. The chamber is a business advocacy. It's membership driven. It is statewide, so they have members all across the state in everything from your Fortune 500 companies to the small businesses in South Georgia. So the Georgia Chamber's focus is largely on businesses in the state and making sure Georgia remains competitive for business.
Good.
GSEC, we're also a membership-based advocacy organization, and so our membership is kind of pretty exclusively in that film, television, digital entertainment space. So we represent the full ecosystem of the industry here. So everything from, I mean, our members are every major studio in the state, and we're on track to have 15 of those. 15 film studios here.
Now, you say major studios, or
major
that's
studios,
all of them?
Major studios. So, you know, your Assembly, your Trilith, your Tyler Perry Studios, Athena out in Athens. We are on track to have more than 7 million square feet of studio space by 2025. And to compare that just to, you know, in 2008 when we got started, we had 60,000 square feet.
My goodness.
So.
Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit ahead of myself, but you bring up this number of square feet in Georgia. What is that? How does that compare to other states?
Sure. So if we achieve if we stay on track with all this construction and we achieve that 7 million square feet, that will put us above New York and depending on what they're doing on building, ahead of California as well.
So California, New York, and Georgia are kind of like the three centers of film production in our country?
Yeah, so those are the top 3 areas for film production. In Georgia, kind of depending on whether we're talking features or episodics, toggles between 2 and 3, but a really strong lead. And I mean, when you look at our industry, which is 15 years old, the idea that we've just skyrocketed.
Wow.
I mean, we had 412 productions here last year.
That is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And we have major productions that are in our state. So, you know, it is interesting. Every new movie that comes out, I find myself flipping through to see if it was filmed here, and a lot of them are.
I do
even
too.
a piece of it, right? So,
I do too.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I think we see little bits of it, and I think one of the exciting things, but also opportunities, you know, certainly for your viewers, is just really to understand how big the industry is. Mm-hmm. So I think we've all seen, you know, we've probably seen Assembly rising. We've seen those yellow signs that are directionals, and you might have seen a celebrity or your street in a movie, but it really is so much bigger than that. I mean, this is a huge economic driver for our state. We've got tens of thousands of Georgia businesses that serve the industry directly as vendors.
Wow.
And obviously thousands more Georgians that work directly on our film productions. So
part of the reason that we asked Kelsey to come here today is because in Dunwoody we are really interested in what's happening at Assembly Atlanta. Just down the street, we would love for all the folks that are going to Assembly Atlanta to come to Dunwoody and experience our area. And so we're really interested in learning more and more about film, and all of our hotels are going to be some of those businesses that benefit from the film industry. And as a result, all the people here in Dunwoody, the workers at our hotels, could find more opportunities for work. We absolutely see a future impact here in Dunwoody. So I just like to share why we're so interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, having a major studio and something so innovative and purpose-built like what you have with a long-term tenant is, I mean, the residents of Dunwoody are going to see the positive impact of not only the spend, but I mean, I think all of the interest in Dunwoody now. So I think it's going to be a really successful and positive thing, I think, for the community here.
I'm so excited. So the long-term tenant at Assembly Atlanta is NBC Universal. Mm-hmm. And NBC Universal produces so many things, and you'll notice that Universal, and I'm so used to going in to see a movie and you get that big Universal, you know, those big letters that come in front of the globe, mm-hmm. right? You know, those are the types of things that we'll see produced over there, if I'm right? That's the Universal piece. Okay, good.
Yeah, well, and I think more importantly, you know, when you're looking too at the end, when those credits are rolling for minutes and minutes and minutes, you're going to start seeing your neighbors' names listed there. You're going to start seeing, you know, local people that you know that are in the location teams or are working on set. So
how much fun.
I
so
also
cool.
sit through the full end.
You
of the
watch
credits.
it all. Plus, they got to have that Georgia logo at the end to get the film credit.
Yeah,
right?
and that, you know, the Georgia logo has done such I think significant things for our tourism industry, because that put Georgia really on a international scale. I mean, when you're looking at these feature films that are just spread across, I mean, they're broadcast across the world, they see that logo, and we're seeing huge influxes of film tourism because people want to see where Stranger Things was filmed. They want to see where Black Panther was filmed. And so they come here and flock to the streets and fields and areas that they've been filmed.
This is such a good thing. So I just got through watching the TV series Silo mm-hmm. on Apple TV, and I thought it was really interesting. There's a piece in that where they feature our state in this series. And I thought that is really interesting that they would bring up the state of Georgia, and I think it's because it was a prop. Right? They said, "Oh, we need a prop. This will work in this part." So I'm not giving away the series if you're watching it, but look for that part where you'll see Georgia show up in Silo. One of the things that is on everybody's mind in the state is what's going on with the unions, because we got SAG and WGA. So this is the Writers Guild of America, is that right?
I believe so.
And then SAG is the actors union. They're all they're on strike right now. My question is how will this strike potentially impact the state of Georgia, if at all, long term?
Sure. So I think it's important to remember that the negotiations that are happening with these strikes are not happening in Georgia, and this is a piece that we don't really have much control over.
Right.
So Georgia's role in this, we are a production hub, so we manufacture all of this content. So for us, this strike is a little bit more akin to kind of a pretty major supply chain issue. So, when the writers' strike happened, we weren't getting new scripts. When the now actors strike has happened, there's nobody to act in the existing scripts, right? So our production industry is just ground to a halt. And we do see that impact on all of the businesses that service it. I mean, I think I mentioned, tens of thousands of Georgia businesses act as vendors directly. And so, our hotels are seeing a dip. Our restaurants are kind of wondering where their client base is. But we are confident that if we focus on the factors that we can control, our infrastructure, our workforce, our tax incentive, that when production does resume, it will come roaring back to Georgia.
Good.
Yeah, and we hope
good.
that there's an equitable resolution. We hope it's fast so that Georgians can get back to work.
I love that. So one of the things that you focus on is the film tax credit, and so you advocate on behalf of the industry. Off camera, before we started taping, you know of some destinations, or I should say cities, that had a tax credit before and it went away and you saw that impact. So I'd kind of love to get your thoughts on how important is that film tax credit first, and how has the lack of that credit in other areas impacted them?
Sure. So I am from Wilmington, North Carolina, which you all may remember as the hot spot for shows like Dawson's Creek and One Tree Hill and a number of Nicholas Sparks type books. So the film tax and credit incentive is such a key piece to this industry. It's really kind of one of the three legs of the stool, if you will, that allows production to thrive. So,
Okay.
You've got to have the infrastructure. So those are support businesses, studios. You've got to have the workforce, and we've built an incredible workforce. The Georgia Film Academy has more than 11,000 graduates that are able
Wow.
to immediately go on set, starting in at about $85,000 a year.
I'm glad you mentioned that. What does that pay? And I think that is notable that you have a good living doing this.
Very much, and you don't have to go through the traditional college system, or you can. I mean, there's really opportunities and all. So we've done a really great job at infrastructure, like I mentioned, with our studios,
Right.
the workforce, and then the incentive. And so it's got to be stable, it's got to be predictable. And Georgia policymakers have built an incentive that works very well, is easy to understand, and is stable. So with all of those three pieces, that's how we flourished, right?
Wow. Yeah.
But Wilmington, North Carolina, North Carolina got rid of their tax incentive, and they've been making changes to try to bring it back, because when you got rid of the tax incentive, you pulled out one leg of that stool and the whole thing toppled.
Wow.
So now my Wilmington friends are in Atlanta, but it's unfortunate to see, and I think, it's unfortunate to see some of those studios are now warehouses. But it is, I think, a lesson to us in Georgia about how important the stability of that tax incentive is.
And so those three legs are all so important, and the tax credit's one of them. But Georgia's really doing well here. Do you think it's all just because of the tax credit, or do you think it's kind of those other legs that have formed as well?
I mean, I think it's that three-part piece that Georgia did so well. And again, the leadership in the state, in 2008, and our continued leadership, with Governor Kemp still. I mean, we have done a really good job. That's why Georgia has just catapulted, because I think it's 31 other states have film tax incentives.
Wow.
But they don't have the stage space we have. They don't have the workforce we have. And that's how Georgia, our brand new industry is now, competing against California's 100+ year industry.
That's just amazing. So 31 other states have a tax credit.
I believe so.
Is it as good as ours, or is ours a step above, or?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of these states have higher tax incentives than us.
Wow.
I mean, we're looking, certain states have 40% tax credits, you can add on. So ours certainly is not the most generous. But we've got all the pieces, and that stability piece makes productions confident to come here.
Wow. So how do we rank compared to, because we said there's 3, New York, California, and Georgia. How is Georgia ranking to them, and maybe even globally? Because we've talked, you mentioned that before. How are we doing?
Sure. So, in 2020, film production shut down globally, like many other industries. But because Georgia kind of got back to work, Georgia opened up, and we figured out how to do it safely. So Georgia led the world in figuring out what those kind of policies and plans needed to be for film production to resume. And so we were leading the globe.
Wow.
During COVID, and so our numbers were huge. They were all flocking here. People were filming in malls and in airports because they couldn't find the studio space. And so have just done very well. We have far more production in our state than many countries see.
Unbelievable.
And they are actively trying to buy, to pull it away. I mean, we see headlines every day of, Texas wants to attract this industry, or California's trying to not let Georgia compete with them. And so, we certainly are the envy of a number of states and countries.
That is so fantastic. With all of this infrastructure and having all the talent in the state that we have, and with that tax credit, it's going to be hard for a state that does not have all this already there to compete with us. So we are a little bit ahead of the curve, but we got to keep our foot on the gas.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be able to we've done such a good job on workforce, such a good job on infrastructure, and such a good job. If we can keep that incentive stable, there is no reason that this industry shouldn't continue to grow. And it's the spread, and one of the things I think is so exciting about it is this is an industry that impacts all the others.
Right.
I mean, with one small example, let's look at room nights, say, with a film production. And so one feature film production can easily have 25,000 room nights over the course of their couple of months of production.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, that's the film industry paying into our transportation fund for the state. It's paying into our communities, our CVBs. It's supporting hotels and restaurants and the dry cleaners. All of these different pieces that we don't think of. I mean, film really has an impactful kind of game-changing presence for the state.
That number, that 25,000 that you just mentioned, has such a tremendous economic impact by itself, right? And I think about this when we have a major sporting event in Atlanta, we like to hear the economic impact of that sporting event was just whatever that number is, and it's really high. And for a sporting event, if it could, bring in 25,000 room nights, and some of them do, for the record, that is, it really sets us apart when we're able to host those events. I gotta tell you, it is easy to not notice that a film brought in 25,000 room nights because it is spread across 3 months, right? But it's extremely impactful. And I think part of what you do is, let's get that message out there that this is it is impacting, number one, it's exciting, but the economic impact is probably harder to track than we know, but huge.
Well, your question is so incredibly timely because one of our big initiatives at GSEC this year has been to do a full economic impact study of what the film industry has meant for our state. And we have not, been able to do this as a state, to do a true, third party. I'm not sure that we've ever fully done one. It's certainly been a number of years. So in the coming months, we will have that out there where we'll be looking at all of the different pieces. This huge growth. I mean, and I think we'll have some really good numbers, and I can't wait to share them with you.
I can't wait to see those. I think that'll be great. All right, let's bring this hyper-local.
Okay.
How can Dunwoody businesses help grow the film economic impact? What can each of those businesses do?
Sure. So, I think for the businesses, it's really lean in. With Assembly Studios, again, it's just this innovative, world-class studio that you've got, and it's already attracting productions, and they're not open yet. So, you will see a lot of folks in hotels and in restaurants, and these folks have become, they may be here filming, they become such great patrons, and they, I'd say open them up and show how warm and inviting Dunwoody is. And I think it's going to be a really positive relationship, a lot of growth for the businesses. And I think it's just, you guys will, we'd love to see you guys become our next major film hub in the state.
Well, we would love that. I do have to, an anecdotal story. I ran into a writer. She lived in California for many years, recently moved to Atlanta, and she said for a few reasons, and some I want to highlight. One, she said, oh my goodness, everybody in and around where she works are so nice. So being very nice to our visitors does attract them, but she also said that she can get to places, traffic in LA is pretty bad. Mm-hmm. It's bad in Atlanta too, yes, but it's not as bad.
Not as bad as
out
LA.
there. So there's that. But it's also affordable.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, the quality of life in Georgia, that's what productions love filming here. We have terrific quality of life. I mean, the prices they're not LA prices, right? And the people are friendly. We've got great restaurants. We've got great attractions. People like being in Georgia. And I think not only have we seen Georgians come home, because now they can do their craft here, but we've seen people who are there, productions want to come here, so.
Right. That is so great. Well, Kelsey, this has been so much fun talking with you. I would love to share with our audience, if they want to learn more about where they can hear more about your work, where should they go?
Sure. You can go to our website at gsecoalition.com. We are also on kind of all the major social platforms. You can also shoot me an email. We'd love to have some additional support on our work, and we'll certainly share more on both the economic impact study and some of the really good stories we're seeing about Georgia's film industry.
Well, Kelsey, I love this, sitting here and chatting with you. It is so exciting to be sitting in Dunwoody knowing that we've got Assembly Atlanta just 12 minutes down the road from us, and we're going to be able to host all of these folks. They think there'll be 4,000 to 7,000 people working on that property.
Yeah.
Just with NBC Universal. So we're very excited. We love the idea that you guys are there to support our state and grow the economic engine of film and advocate on behalf of us and the film industry. So thank you so much for that and for your time today.
It's great to be here.
For the rest of you folks, we love that you have joined us for today's show. The show is produced by Discover Dunwoody. Our producer is Madison Holtz. Our sound technician is Emily Inser-Gibson. We would love for all of you to pick up one of our brand new Dunwoody stickers, the DUN stickers that we have all over the city. Go to City Hall, check out the library, or even come to our office. We'll give you one of those stickers. On behalf of our entire Discover Dunwoody team, thank you for watching. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us at Discover Dunwoody. Also, check out our website, discoverdunwoody.com. If you're looking for a lunch spot, you want to go to dinner, you're trying to find a bar, go check that out. But most importantly, when you have somebody coming into town to visit, go to our website. You can find the hotels that are in Dunwoody. Until next time, enjoy the day and go out, discover Dunwoody.